Does your watercolor grass always look stiff and overworked? The problem isn't your brush control, it's that your reference photo tricks you into painting every blade. I'll show you how a large brush and a liner brush work together to create grass that looks wild and natural with surprisingly few strokes. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where detail matters and where it doesn't. And stay to the end because I discovered something about one brand of white paint that completely saved this painting. First, let's build a quick foundation of sky, water, and dunes. I'll move through that quickly so we can get to the two brush techniques that make all the difference. After painting in the sky and the background water, I'm going to start on the dunes. Here's the first trick. Use a large brush. Some of the dune grass overlaps the water from the point of view from which this scene was photographed. How do we depict this? Well, we can lay in the color of the dune grass without disturbing the watercolor we just painted in. The soft edges we get helps with the harmony of the painting by ensuring the dune weeds don't look pasted on. Now what happened here is that some of the green color from the distant dune grass did get into the water. Here's how you fix it. Simply blend the green into the water. It's not going to change the watercolor very much. Look at how this large brush laid in the dune grass without us having to paint every blade. I can't tell you how many times I get technical questions in the comments on my videos and in my live paint-alongs. My students ask me questions all throughout the process. If you want the opportunity to ask questions and get answers live, then join us this Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We meet every Friday. The first week is on me. You'll find the link in the description or use the QR code for quick access. Working down the paper, the next natural section to work on is the sand. Painting the sand sets us up perfectly to work on the midground shapes. We start by working wet into wet after brushing in some clean water on the paper. Because we're in the midground, the dunes should have mostly soft edges. This keeps them at a distance from the viewer, and it helps with depth. Using a large brush helps to prevent us from getting caught up in unnecessary details. We'll vary the greens and add in some raw umber to make the living grasses lively with shadows. After carefully avoiding the light side of the post, which is the left side of the post, I'm dropping in some Hansa yellow light wet into wet onto the greens that I put down for the dunes to capture some highlights of the sun. Here's the burnt sienna I was talking about to help paint in some of the dead branches and some shadows. I'm preparing some violet color for shadows on the dunes that you can see me painting here. The violet is cobalt blue plus Perlyene maroon. These foreground details will make the painting seem realistic and close to the viewer. We start by blocking in the large foreground dune shape, wet into wet, much like we did with the midground dunes. But we won't stop there. There are little vines that are growing from the dunes onto the dune path, and we can depict those by dragging them onto the sand. Already we can see that the foreground is a darker color than the midground and the background. This is the first technique that we'll use to make the foreground seem close to the viewer and enhance its realism. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. The liner brush is technique number 2 to get that realistic look and start jeweling in the foliage in the foreground. Because it's made of sable, it's kind of floppy and it bends easily if you put a little bit of pressure on it. And so that causes irregular and random marks, which looks really natural. We'll also spatter some white paint to suggest flowers. Now, looking at the painting after it dried, I felt like there just wasn't enough value in the foreground. I'd already laid down the white opaque paint, and I knew I would run a risk if I added more value that would lift. But this is Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, and I think bleed proof is real because I went back in with more value to really, really emphasize the foreground, and that bleed proof white didn't lift, and it didn't smudge, and it didn't bleed. So this is a handy thing to know that if you've already laid down something like that, you still have flexibility to go back and correct value if you need to. To recap, we want to establish the light right away to guide our colors and values throughout the painting. Working light to dark, we concentrated on the large shapes using a lot of soft edges that indicate foliage without painting every vine. We saved the most detail to the end of the painting and placed it into the foreground. The S curve of the path plus the high detail in the foreground with less detail in our midground and background are what give the painting depth and realism. The result is a natural and loose beach scene that makes the viewer feel they can walk into the painting and down to the water without too much stiffness of detail everywhere. If you like this video and you want to see the full version, or have access to videos not on this channel, check out paintingwithpeggy.com. The link is in the description below. If you love the soft effect we achieved here, but still aren't sure how to control the wet paper that's drying on you, check out this video.